and a very Merry Christmas from G1 Toys. As we wrap up the year of 2017, memories of old may pass, but new doors shall open, and in sight a flurry of new experiences. Whether it's a path full of collecting or life-changing events, always remember what you hold dear and remain focused on your goals for the next year. We'll continue the trend of reviewing the games you love and provide you a way to escape the stresses of everyday burdens. Remember, the best of all gifts by your Christmas tree is a family wrapped up in each other. So show them the respect they deserve and never become too wrapped up in yourself. Now run to the kitchen and get that hot cocoa a-brewing, because we're ready to settle in for the evening with some titles that are sure to knock your stockings off. Welcome to Count It, our 5th PS4 wave compilation of game reviews, and we're getting started here for Christmas with Agents of Mayhem. This is the Day 1 edition, legal action pending DLC, includes 6 Day 1 edition skins, rated mature down there at the bottom by Volition and Deep Silver. And I was really happy to see this game was released and very excited to see where they would go with it, because I'm a huge Saints Row fan. And yeah, this one was definitely on the level of Saints Row, but not quite as good. But let's just get into it now and we'll discuss it. Let's just say it. The plot reeks of G.I. Joe-laden themes, but stays modern enough to deviate from cheesy 80s puns. When we're talking environment, it gets as repetitive as your mother trying to get you to play wholesome titles, and if she only had a copy of this script, you'd be grounded for eternity. Once the quirky humor takes over while you're laying to waste hordes of enemies and bosses, Agents comes out as an action-packed playground with decent weapon selections and character choices. I do feel this title will be reduced to bargain bins, however, which is actually good for gamers who want to come back after the hype has worn down to play this 25-hour ROM. In our first pre-Christmas title, you'll see explosions aplenty, and it's a title to keep you singing carols of mayhem until the release of Saints Row 5. And then next up, we're talking about Batman, The Enemy Within. And yes, this is the Telltale series follow-up. This is the Season Pass disc by DC and Telltale Games, rated mature. Thank you for rating this mature again. And yeah, very cool, guys. Very, very well done. Well scripted, well written. So far, I'm digging this game. I always have loved the Telltale games, but this one is definitely one of the better ones I played in a while. So, about Batman. He hasn't always been as dark and gritty as this, but if any DC-based superhero had the potential, it's this guy. Only 3 episodes in, we'll give you an overall impression here. The setup episode really starts strong and displays the personalities of Bruce Wayne and the Bat simultaneously. Telltale made a title here worthy of a replay, and that's usually hard to do within this type of game. Episode 2 confirms character development with Harley quite nicely, along with setting up John Doe's notice of it. It also establishes the fact that choice is heavily relied upon and involves parties other than Batman. In Episode 3, you are deeply seated into your role, and you may even exhibit some gray area decision making. Its story relied heavily upon here during the season, and I'm excited to see where it goes. I'm hoping and asking Santa Claus that they've decided to put some of the weight of your decisions into a grand scale finale, because that means they are listening to the players. Once this happens, and by the time they release Wolf Among Us 2, we should be in line for a real treat. It's finally here, the next installment in the Call of Duty franchise, World War II. This is rated mature by Sledgehammer Games and Activision, and as you can see here, they've really depicted the emotional state of this soldier after picking the dog tags off one of his fallen buddies. So very well done cover, I dig it. On the back, as you can see, you get campaign, multiplayer, and zombies mode with this one, and as you can also see, the graphics are very stellar with this game. Here is your rating here at the bottom, and let's just go right into this one. There's so much to live up to with every new Call of Duty release. I've had the privilege of playing every one thus far, and so from a seasoned veteran's point of view, I should be receiving Veteran Affairs assistance for all the shell shock. I believe, however, you can construct a game after this much time that shows the respective evolution of a franchise, such as this, with its due honor. With our current 9 multiplayer maps offered here, the experience hasn't been altered aside from advanced-looking graphical development, but the Division's option was a good change to dial in your player. With the campaign, I was quite disappointed, and they may be minor gripes, but I felt length was the #1 issue. I blasted my way through it in roughly 3 hours, and never felt like my story held any clout when I finally came home. Also, I expect after 14 years of Call of Duty, they would make the aftermath of a headshot look realistic, as opposed to a Hellraiser victim who lost his skin returning from hell. I'm also sure this game was entirely historically accurate. Yeah. And last but least, they could have allowed me to have the joy of shooting the dead with some kind of morbid post-mortem damage done to the corpse. It just makes it feel fake in a world that looks real when that option isn't there. Now, I'm done venting, so on to zombies. I actually liked it. It kept things moving, and it's just plain fun. I'll keep the game just to have my friends come by for some mass carnage, but overall, I would say it's average to good for what it is. And now we're talking about the follow-up to the Souls series. This is Dark Souls 3, and I'll tell you, I'm a fan of this series. I really have been since day one, and this one has definitely raised the bar, in my opinion, in a lot of ways on this game. This is by Bandai Namco Entertainment, rated mature, has a nice presentation on front and back, and you would come to expect good graphics on this game, and it delivers. It's really good, really fun. Definitely another game that I would say the difficulty level is more advanced with, but here we go. The game that held as much anticipation as Christmas morning has returned as you exhaustingly hunt down the Lords of Cinder. First off, it sticks the landing of environments and enemies like Mary Lou Retton. I can't even count the number of well-crafted enemies and scenery you'll encounter, and the question on everyone's mind is, was it difficult? I would say even with the new skills available, it was still a deeply difficult game. It would almost be sacrilegious at this point not to expect this though, right? So be ready to fail repeatedly. On that same side of the coin, know the rewards are still present within gameplay. With this entry, we see the ghost of Dead Souls past return with some positive news. And next up, we're talking about the game called Evolve. And this one is kind of an older game on the system. It's actually one of those games that you maybe have never even tried, but is definitely kind of worth your time, I think. Definitely presented pretty nicely here on the front. This is by Turtle Rock Studios and 2K Games, rated mature. And of course, the presentation on the back just looks stellar. I love that scene right there. Very cool. There's your rating there at the bottom. And about Evolve. Ah, the thrill of the hunt, be it finding that rare gift for that special someone this year, or tracking down and killing a beast who is only doing what it instinctually does. You'll find Evolve gives another meaning to the term big game. Now, I don't mind some wandering when it comes to tracking your prey, but this one makes you do a little more than necessary at times, either as the beast or the hunters. It's a good thing multiple modes exist to break the cycle occasionally. Despite the annoyances, Evolve is that perfect blend of monster mashing that your generation craves. Up next, we come to our first and somewhat obscure title by Sodesco called The Girl and the Robot. This is the deluxe edition, and I do dig the artwork. I think that it was done really well. It entices you, makes you want to play this game. This was rated E10+. Apart from some of the bad gameplay, that did have some really good scenes, and I really did, like I said, like the art direction it took, but it was definitely disappointing in a lot of ways. So cooperative adventure puzzlers are either hit or miss, and as good as the idea and simplistic art is, this one misses its mark by horrible combat controls. You'll shoot your eyes out trying to battle through all the shadow robots this game throws at you halfway in. Otherwise, it truly does resemble a PS2 title that has been remastered, and although there are moments of charm with the relationship between the girl and her other 3/4, it falls flat on its robotic schnoz as a must-play. Coming in next, we have Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. This one is by Capcom, and wow, the presentation is so nice, and they always have been on these Marvel vs. Capcom games. The artwork on this is really nice on the cover as well. I do like it. Rated T, and this is a really fun one. And if you guys are ever wondering why I have games that are still sealed, my friends do have these too, so I get to play them even though I don't open mine sometimes. But anyway, as I said, the presentation here is done really well. Even on the back, rules are not set in stone. And down here at the bottom is your rating. So let's talk about Marvel Capcom and see how they did this time around. It's 2-on-2 smashing, without any sexual connotations to speak of. Now I can appreciate if a household name like Captain America is a playable character, but why paint him in a community college intermediate art class when I know darn well we could have had a Yale graduate with honors at the helm? This isn't to be said, however, for level design. The stages are beautiful with color. Story is a bit weak, but this could be a difficult task for any writer trying to make sense of this when you combine these universes. Apart from story issues, I did love the use of Infinity Stones before matches, and it can make an otherwise weak team feel more powerful. It's a very fluent feeling fighter with fast-paced action for a faster-paced crowd. And from the depths of greatness, we bring you NieR Automata, Day 1 Edition. This one's by Square Enix and mature rated. And if you look at this cover a little closer, there's more than meets the eye going on here. And I'm not talking about a Transformer show. This is really done well with the art direction and art style. And we'll talk about that just a little bit more here when we go into the review portion. But as you can see, the back is presented very nicely as well. Love their choice of protagonist in this one. And as you can see, I bought this online used, so guilty as charged on that one. There is the rating down there at the bottom. Better than the first NieR. This was definitely a must-buy for you. So let's talk about this one now. NieR has established itself on PlayStation 3 already and returned with a vengeance for the sequel on this console. It has always been praised for its unique style of art and character interaction. Expect the floodgates of playstyle to be let loose while diving, slashing, and shooting your way through a dark dreamland. I feel the 2B android you play as may be a character of much popularity in the crowd of NieR fans, and this is unmistakably for her looks. It's that goth/renegade style she portrays nicely as a poster child for the game. If you choose one title this year that qualifies as a unique must-buy, ask your sentient significant other for this one. And then moving on right into the next game, we're talking about Outlast Trinity. As you can see, it's kind of transparent as it goes from here to here. That's a cool little touch. I like that. This one includes Outlast, Outlast Whistleblower, and Outlast 2, rated mature. Definitely has some mature themes in this game. And Red Barrel with Warner Brothers is your developers. So there's your side, and the back, as you can see, contains all three of those games. This is the ultimate journey into madness. This is kind of a survival horror game with a twist. So let's just talk about it now. Outlast places you in heart-pounding life or death situations and forces you to be the fly that must escape the fly swatter. You don't have the tools you need to defend yourself, which forces you into games of cat and mouse. This translates to lots of hiding, escaping, and some strategic thinking as well. Both games pit you against wicked and grotesque stalkers from insane asylums to backwoods religious freaks. Where the game lacks their luster is with pacing and predictable jump scares, but they do incorporate desperation, which lightens the blow of monotony. Next up, we're talking about a game called Overcooked. This is a gourmet edition, and this is kind of a game that's a dish within itself. This one is by Team 17 and Ghost Town Games, rated E for everyone, and was a very surprisingly fun game. I actually really enjoyed playing this. Wasn't sure if I would or not, but if you get this new, this includes the exclusive DLC of The Lost Morsel, and it's just really cool. Very chaotic, but keeps you completely involved in what you're doing the whole time while you play this game. So let's talk about Overcooked. In this couch co-op cooker, the recipes may be bland, but the fun is tasteful. It really is best played with 4 players to set up a strategy for 3-star accomplishments. The good thing about this playthrough is the level of difficulty. It doesn't allow for idle hands and is fast-paced at the same time. You won't be washing, peeling, or mashing. You'll just be cutting, cooking, placing, and moving. But that is enough to make Overcooked an instant classic like Uncle Ben's rice pilaf. And next up, we come to another Sodesco title. This one is called Veronik. This is the deluxe edition and rated T. I'm not a huge fan of the artwork on the front, but it's not too bad. I usually am really into the artwork on these games, but this one just didn't quite do it for me. It was still, you know, decent with the gameplay. I thought the artwork was done fairly well once you're actually playing it. But one of those games that I think is kind of going to remain obscure of as well as the other titles in these genres. So talking about Veronik, every time I see this title I can't help but think of the negative, and I feel it was a slightly moronic choice. But this developer has always intrigued me with their creations thus far. It's a left and right scrolling action setup and the methodical approach to hack and slash that borrows from many games prior to its release. Watch long enough and I think you'll see which ones I mean. Furthermore, the game does allow health, stamina, and mana increases after completed battles. I believe the art style was the biggest seller here, along with the theme, and Sodesco is great at selling these surreal environments. But I feel they are capable of much more than a game like this with a questionable title. And a title definitely worthy of review, we come to Rocket League. This one is by Psyonix and 505 Games, rated E, and has received over 100 awards. So, you know, right away I was a little bit intrigued when I heard about this game, and I really wanted to play it. This is the collector's edition. Very well presented on the artwork here. And, you know, the concept is simple. But basically, you're just a car that knocks around this, you know, 3D ball. But it's so much fun and it's so addicting, and especially if you get playing with it online. So I do recommend this one for anybody. It's rated E for everyone, and it's definitely a game that everyone should play. So about Rocket League, here I am. I'm your Rocket Queen. I might be a little young, but honey, I ain't naive. Axel would be proud to have a game that so closely resembles one of his songs, and I feel if he took some time to play it with a certain member of his band, they just might find a common ground and reconcile a rocky past. I believe this game has that power and can bring families together. What better time than now, at the dawn of Christmas, to get together, veg out in front of your TV, and enjoy the splendor of cars and sports and the charade of male bonding. Rocket League is a moderately addicting answer to the mix of these two. Its colors pop, the stages are gorgeous, and the control is satisfying once you master the art of trajectory. It's a great example of simple yet effective development, and although upgrades are replaced with cosmetics, they have solved the equation for fun. And next up, we're talking about a game called Rogue Stormers. And again, with the Sodesco titles, yep, I'm bringing you another one here. But so far, of the ones I've shown you, this is probably my favorite. This is rated T. And I do like the art direction on this one quite a bit. I love the way they have, you know, characterized these people on the front. Very nice presentation and intriguing. And as soon as I saw the back, I was like, could be a nice side-scrolling adventure with some extra violence for flavor. And it was. That's pretty much exactly what it was. But there was more to it. There was a little bit more depth here. So let's talk about Rogue Stormers. After sitting down and giving this title some due time, I was pleased. I did, and realized it had stimulated my addiction to play more. I wouldn't say it's a sit down and enjoy immediately title because its difficulty level is fairly ramped up. I would title this as an action RPG grinder side-scrolling twin-stick shooter, which officially makes my longest description of a game yet. It does provide a co-op option, but I don't recommend it as much as single player. Sometimes, as in life, fewer people mean fewer problems. This game really appears ugly from a distance, but it sneaks up on you, and you ultimately notice it's pretty hot. So next up is our featured review, and I've decided to commit a sin here at G1 Toys and show you one of my limited run games in the flesh here. Usually, you know, I'd be doing my separate videos to review those types of games, but here I thought this one was too profound to pass up. So right here, this is the limited run box they give you. This is exactly how it comes to you in the mail. Very cool stamp, you know, stamped on limited run here on the box. Very cool. That's how we get it. And then what we have next is the game. Now this is Skullgirls Second Encore by Autumn Games and Lab Zero. And yes, this is fantastic all the way through. I love the art presentation on it. The art presentation is probably the very best part of this game. The fighting mechanics are actually really good as well. Just a really, really well done game. Limited run number 97. This is quite a ways into my limited runs. I haven't even gotten that far with how many I have yet, but I will eventually get there, and we'll skip this one because we're doing it now. But this is number 2902. As you can see, it's got the seal there at the bottom. This is the slipcover for it. It's got some really cool artwork and font right there. And the inside is no different. This one's actually still sealed. I don't think I'm going to open this one, even though I have played this before. I'm probably going to keep this sealed because it is quite the rarity. And I'll just kind of go over what they sent me in this, this set, and you can kind of just see what you get if you decide to go with this. So I'm not going to show you the code, but this is my loyalty card from Limited Run that they send you. Next we had a regular card here with the Limited Run black and white, and the artwork of the actual players in the game, and some of the artwork on the cover actually as well. I think that's the Japanese cover artwork actually right there. So very cool. You do get this card that gives you 10% off of Skullgirls merchandise. So unless you're inclined to get that stuff, it's kind of a wash, but it's still cool they included that. Get 86, guys. That's really sweet. So next we have the soundtrack for Skullgirls. This one is still sealed as well. This one has 19 songs on it, some jazzy, some not, but very retro style, and I really like that style on it. As you can see, there's the back and some of your tracks. So really done well, guys. I'm really liking the extras they threw in here. Also, you always get the customary Limited Run sticker. So this is what that is right there. And then last but not least, we have the lithocell, which is transparent, as you can see. And it's really cool that they included this. I do like it. Very, very sweet with that light behind it, isn't it? Anyway, so loving it. Everything they sent was very cool. So let's talk about Skullgirls now. Cleopatra, eat your skull heart out. Hands down, the coolest story and 2D fighter on PS4 currently. I can't sit here and claim it's perfect. There is a lack of movesets for the 14-character roster, but originality goes a long way for me. And this title dominates the competition with a modern comic book style story and a blend of anime with 1940s pop culture. The look is gorgeous and level design is most appealing. There's a lot to like here, backed by a smooth jazz soundtrack that complements the style. Unfortunately, to own this game in physical form is quite pricey, currently at between $75 and $100, but limited run titles are collectible and most likely prone to increased value later on. Of the higher priced games, I do put this one in my top 10 must-buys. What better time than around Christmas to release one of the most controversial games of our time? This is South Park: The Fractured Butthole. And you got Coon against Mysterio there on the front, looking awesome. That kind of sets the theme of what this game is. This is a superhero themed game, and if you like that, you're going to love this one. It's rated mature, of course, and is by Ubisoft, and does include a free DLC of The Stick of Truth, which is another one of my favorite RPGs of all time. I mean, look at all the awards and best in shows that they have had on this game already. It's just really come a long way, and it's continuing on an uphill trend. So there are your reasons why your parents won't let you have this. And but if you're feeling a little bit rebellious, I bet you can go pick up a copy without them carding you for this. So go give it a shot, or maybe, you know, have one of your buddies get it for you. You know, it's all a matter of opinion, and it's based on the person who buys, not the content within. So let's talk about South Park. Holy hamburgers! Is there nothing that Matt and Trey Parker can't do? Televisions, movies, games, Broadway, and a partridge in a frickin' pear tree. These guys have given us another triumph in the gaming world. This installment brings classes of fighters, special moves, and power-up artifacts to the South Park table, and lets you choose who your superhero and their backstory is. Half the time you feel like a badass, laying to waste hordes of Butter's minions or Raisin's girls who give the youth of South Park a place to drool. The humor is vulgar, over-the-top slapstick, and well-thought-out situational themes. Anyone who has a stick in their butt may want to remove it, because this game doesn't hold back in its dialogue or racist jabs, and contains multiple F-bombs. If I had to choose between both games released, so far it would be a toss-up. I love the story in Stick of Truth, but I adore the in-game options while battling in this one. Both are fantastic in their own way, and some of the best RPGs I've ever played. And next up, we are going to be talking about Middle-earth: Shadow of War. Yes, the follow-up is here to one of the best Lord of the Rings titles around. It's rated mature. This one's by Monolith and Warner Brothers. And look how amazing this presentation is on the back of the cover. And the game itself is really the same. It's just a marvel to look at this game. It's just done so well. It's rated mature for blood and gore and intense violence. So this is one of those titles that if your parents don't mind you lopping off orcs' heads or whatever, they may let you go get this one and have your way with it. So definitely one I kind of recommend for everyone, as long as you know, they don't have a something against violence when it comes to animated violence, that is. So let's talk about Shadow of War. I vowed that Shadow of Mordor on PS3 was the best Lord of the Rings experience yet. Now that I have played the next-gen version, I may have changed my tune about that now. More choices. Dismember and loot, or manipulate and recruit? These are the decisions one must make in this return to Orc Mayhem. The progression and pacing is perfect in this game, and it gives you a ton of hours to accomplish it. Taking over fortresses became a highlight, and after building armies to do so was most rewarding. It may not be the most perfect Lord of the Rings lore, but the gameplay is truly majestic. Well, would you looky here, it just keeps getting better, doesn't it? This is Star Wars Battlefront 2, Elite Trooper Deluxe Edition, and this is what we do at G1 Toys. We like to spread the holiday cheer to everyone and bring you games that are the newest games that we can possibly get and afford, that is as well. We don't have a huge bankroll, but every now and then we go a little nuts, so here is your answer to that. And this is by DICE, Lucasfilm, and EA. Rated T, of course. This has the the downloadable content in it, which I wasn't really into, and I don't recommend really getting that version of it. It's rated T for violence, but I do recommend this game to anyone, and it's definitely a very beautiful game. So we've come to the highlighted review for quite arguably one of the most anticipated games of 2017, and also the most meticulously reviewed. Opening impression, absolutely stunning, and in my opinion, the best space battle portrayals I've ever seen. I'm the fan that owns every vintage and Black Series figure to date, and have continued that trend to gaming also. From PS2 Battlefront to PS4. This is what sequels should look like. Now, on to gameplay. Very smooth and feels great to laser and saber my way through each level. In the campaign, I prefer the third-person view, but first-person is optional. The cutscenes are fairly short and skippable when needed, so really add no more or less to the progression. As smooth and fun and beautiful as it was, the goal is the same. Rush the field and take out the threat. So not ideally a new concept, but I guess I didn't expect much more. As much as I like seeing a great cameo cast interwoven between the Aiden story, I almost wanted better explanation of her story. The ending came abruptly and left me wanting more. The multiplayer gives you over 10 levels of Galactic and Starfighter assault stages that are quite engaging, allowing you to choose a hero, when you do, well comparable to Battlefront 2 on PS2 and Xbox. When discussing the fine print, I have a different tune to sing. No one likes micromanaging, so why would one appreciate microtransactions here? Sure, maxed out star cards are appealing, but I for one want no part of them, and I'm happy to hear that EA removed them for the time being, so kudos I say regarding that. I did enjoy playing locally, getting to choose the light or dark side, and unlocking the respective Sith or Jedi. This will be a nice option for players who haven't given in to Sony's preposterous internet usage fees yet. I will say this, if you want a beautiful Star Wars game, get this one for sure, but maybe wait until the price drops to $40 used. I don't necessarily feel it's worth $60, much less $80 for the version I bought. Guys, I had to do it. I went and picked up my copy of Tekken 7, just mostly out of curiosity to see how this game has progressed over the years, and actually I can say I'm pretty pleasantly surprised with this one. It's the Day 1 edition, rated T by Bandai Namco, and it is rated teen for these reasons there below. But yeah, really well done. It is a personal fighter now, and I do appreciate the direction it's gone, and I do appreciate the base even with this game. These games have really come a long way for sure. Tekken fans, line up, because this one is the one you've been waiting for. Aside from a few generic level designs and expected story plots, Tekken 7 shines forth as the brightest star in the bunch. With a new Power Crush attack that lands more than not, players will have some extra perks that need no unlocking. For the most part, the stages are very well crafted and feel like they belong to this game, and the fights follow suit. Little extras along the way, like prior game cutscenes, make this as entertaining as Shirako soup. After all, who doesn't need a little cod sperm in their diet? And next up, we have the game that has redefined the first-person shooter genre, in my opinion. This is Wolfenstein 2, The New Colossus, by Machine Games and by, yep, you guessed it, Bethesda, one of the best developers, in my opinion, of all time. This is rated mature, 17 and up, and one is one of the games that you get into and you play and you're thinking, this reminds me of the first time I played Doom when I saw these amazing graphics and what they've accomplished, but this is another level, and it has definitely raised the bar of first-person shooter graphics, and I'll tell you a little bit about it now. Whoa, there's a ride at Magic Mountain I recall from my youth named Colossus. My stomach did flip-flops then, and it's no different when I play the new Colossus. Let's just start by saying how impressive the characters were here. You see the individuality of each person in the campaign and can recognize their traits anywhere. That is a great sign that special care was taken with their development. Now on to the killing. Never have I experienced such a fluent graphic illustration of wanted murder in an FPS. Its raw power progression serves as an example for future titles to follow. The graphics excelled past any other Doom or prior Wolfenstein titles and absolutely nailed the particle effects. There are too many positives to mention, so I'll just let you, the players, decide where you place this for best in show. When Bethesda is involved with any title, I know there'll be moments that I'll never forget. Thank you for the creation of perfection. Now that, my friends, is a creepy cover, and as you get closer, it just gets worse. Look at that. Just a face made of skulls. I mean, that's creepy stuff right there. So one of the more creepy covers I've seen in a long time on a game. This one is rated T by Firaxis in 2K and is, in my opinion, one of the best XCOM, if not the best XCOM game to date. It's really good, guys. It's a lot of fun, a lot of tactical warfare, but it's definitely worth your time. I think it could have done better with a mature rating. I think they could have made some of the action sequences a little bit more gruesome and a little bit more fun to watch. So let's talk about XCOM. For our last turn-based review in our Christmas special, we tackle the alien threat once again, only 20 years later. It's a pure tactical adaptation revamped with the PS4 engine. 5 soldier classes give you diverse and playable options that really test the bounds of ingenuity. Everything I wanted from this return is here and pits you against some pretty wicked aliens. If I have any negatives, it's that the game gives you a time base, and this limited my want to be as methodical as I'd hoped. It is also a bit glitchy at times, but not enough to spoil the stellar gameplay. For our last review of this awesome season of collecting, I would like to say thanks for sticking with me, and that I hope you've gained some insight to which games are keepers, and which games need a play at your own risk sticker. Here at G1 Toys, we're all about spreading the holiday cheer, and now that you're missing your stockings, we intend to keep giving in the true spirit of Christmas. Tune in for an end-of-the-year toy room tour and see what we've been up to. We want to remind you to feel free to subscribe and comment. We're always happy to chat about any topic and love to converse, so drop us a line. This is Tim from the Wasteland saying Happy Holidays.